In this video, we're going to deal with how animals respond to infection by pathogens. And animals respond in a very complex way and at multiple levels. So we're going to consider in this video just the non-specific ways that animals respond to pathogens, and that's called innate. So this includes what you might have heard of as the first line of defense and the second line of defense. This is where they are responding to something foreign. So it's not a cell that normally exists in the body, but the response is not really geared to the specific pathogen. It's just attacking something that is attacking the body. Later on in other places, we will look at the specific response where it actually matters which virus or which bacteria is attacking the body. But in this video, we'll just look at the non-specific responses. So we'll start off by looking at what general barriers does the human body have to prevent infection in the first place, because we're surrounded by fungus and bacteria and viruses and parasites that we can see that live outside of us and inside of us, and even proteins that can change shape. So why is it that we're not sick all the time? Well, that is because we have a lot of barriers that prevent infection in the first place. These include a tough and impermeable skin that's dead, that's full of keratin protein. We have lots of mucous membranes that can be kind of wafted out of our nose or out of our throat using little ciliated cells that beat the mucus out. It will trap any pathogens or dust and remove them. Our body is covered inside and out by commensal bacteria that provide a very hostile environment for any new bacteria trying to get a foothold in there. If you've got a very healthy microbiome of bacteria living on your skin and inside your body, that will help you to outcompete any pathogenic bacteria that come in. We have stomach acid that is incredibly hostile to anything that we happen to eat that is pathogenic. And we also have tears full of enzymes that will break open the cell membranes and cell walls of any invading bacteria. So we're already very well placed. And should we actually get attacked by a pathogen, these barriers can become our first line of defense because they react to the pathogens in a non-specific way. So we've got physical ways and chemical ways. Now, a physical way, you get something in your stomach, it's toxic, maybe it's producing some poisons, you vomit it out or you have diarrhea. If you have an urinary infection, so something's managed to get up your ureter, you will just increase your urination and flush it out. Something gets into your lungs, you cough it out or you sneeze it out. These are physical reactions to an invading pathogen. There are also chemical things we can do. You'll be very well aware that you get a virus or a bacteria in your respiratory system and you will increase your mucus secretion. On your skin, you increase the oiliness of your skin, and that's sebum, that's the name of the oil on your skin. You can also, your bacteria in you, they help you fight, and they can become more acidic in the secretions that they make. And your gastric or stomach acids also become more plentiful and more acidic if you are fighting off an infection. So these are great things to know that they happen regardless of what is trying to attack you. Now, should things get inside you and these are not enough in terms of trying to expel the pathogen, there is a major weapon that we have, which is called inflammation. And inflammation you'll be really familiar with. It happens all the time. It doesn't really matter what the cause is. The results are always the same. You end up with pain, and there's localized heat. It goes red, it swells. Often you can't move your thumb if your thumb has been hurt or something. So this is a great defense mechanism, and it occurs right at the site of infection. And that's really important because it's going to call in a lot of things that will help to kill off the invader. So let's have a look at what those things might be. Now, in order to recruit things, they release chemicals. When an area is inflamed, chemicals are released. You've got histamine, You'll have heard of that. You usually hear of it in the term of antihistamine. So histamine is a really good thing to have. It increases the leakiness of your capillaries so that blood, as it's coming to the area, can actually, the plasma can leak out and white blood cells can get out of your capillaries. Cytokines are always also released at this area, and that signals your brain to raise your temperature so you can have a fever. So why do we want more blood in the area? Why do we want it to go red? Well, that's the way we're going to bring white blood cells to the area, and they're going to engulf or swallow up bacteria or damaged cells that are in the area. That's called phagocytosis. Localized heat is really important. We know that enzymes and proteins are heat sensitive. So is RNA, and RNA might be the nucleic acid that's inside a virus that's attacking you. So if we can raise the temperature, either locally or systemically across your whole body with a fever, that might destroy the invading pathogen by damaging important chemicals. We also get this swelling that we talked about, and that can often restrict movement of your limbs. The swelling is important because that's part of the lymphatic system. So as your plasma fills your infected tissues, it will then drain through your lymphatic system, and you will end up being able to monitor that through lymph nodes. And lots of white blood cells live in lymph nodes. They can activate the next step of your immune system and actually attack specific bacteria or specific viruses that you've been attacked with. So that's part of recruiting the next part of the immune system if inflammation is not enough. In this diagram, you can see inflammation taking place. So this one, we've got a pin that has poked into somebody's skin, and on the pin there are little bacteria. You can see those in amongst the skin there. And as a result, you have a clot has formed to plug up the hole, but chemicals are being released and white blood cells are coming in from the local capillaries, and they are going to start gobbling up, engulfing, phagocytosing those bacteria. And then repair tissues will come in as well and start mending the hole and replacing the dead cells with new, fresh skin cells. So that's inflammation. We need to think about the problems and the benefits of these responses to a pathogen. Now, obviously, the benefits are that you can prevent disease and restore your body's chemistry back to its natural balance. It can also amplify any responses to the pathogen, which is important for them recruiting the next step of the immune system. And you've got them. You were born with skin. You were born with the acid in your stomach. They're already there. They're there all the time, and they're present in all animals and all mammals. So these are things that happen all the time. You don't really need to think about them. Unfortunately, you can get problems because inflammation is not always wanted. You can get hay fever, you can get transplant rejection, you can get life-threatening fevers if it goes too high, and unfortunately there's no memory involved in these responses. So you might respond really well, get rid of the pathogen, but you've got to do it all over again when you meet the same pathogen and still get the inflammation. And you'll see how the next part of the immune system builds in memory to help us to respond without even noticing that we've seen a pathogen. But this is how we can do it without really caring what type of pathogen it is. And there are a whole variety of responses that mean that usually we don't get much more sick than a small localized fever, inflammation, or maybe just an upset stomach with a little bit of vomiting.